Hey and howdy everyone, it's Jeannie with Paper Pixie Ink. Today I am going to do something a little bit different and show you a couple of tags. So when I give personal gifts, I like creating kind of individualized little tags. In a lot of cases I use scraps that I have, so I write on the back or stamp with a to from stamp. And then I have my special little tags on the front. So I'm going to show you how I created these two tags, so stay tuned. Alright, so let's get started with this tag. So to create my base tag, I just used the scrapbook.com nested tags die set, and I used kind of like the middle size tag, but you can really do this with just about any size tag that you want, anything that really works for you. This is kind of the size that I like, although I have made them much smaller in the past. I don't usually make them much larger, but you can do whatever makes you happy. So I've gone ahead and kind of cut and prepared most of the items that we're going to need just so that I can make this go a little bit faster for you all. So I started with my tag, and then I took a piece. This is just a scrap piece of cardstock that I had. This is about 3 7/8 by 4.5, and it just fits nicely just right on here like this. And I'm going to use this cute little mat from scrapbook.com. So you can tell I have a dog. So this is a silicone mat. It stays really well stuck. I love these. They work really, really well for ink blending. They're great too because things don't really move as well on them. So things, as you can see, stay really, really well stuck. So I love these mats, and it's small, so I just keep it clipped to the side of a rolling cart that I have with one of these little binder clips or whatever they're called. I just clip it in the corner on the side of my cart, so it's always super handy, but it's always out of my way. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna take a little bit of this peppermint scrub, and I'm gonna take some water, and I'm just gonna spray a little bit. And then I'm just gonna take, this is a fan paintbrush that I have that I love using for just this purpose. So I'm just going to get it wet, and then I'm gonna gently just tap over my piece. So this piece of cardstock I actually ran through. This is a Spellbinders embossing folder. It's SES018. It is the Plaid company. I'm not sure if they make it anymore. I've had it in my stash for probably a year or so, but lots of different companies make these, so I will do my best to link to this for you. If not, I'll see if I can find another brand that is similar, but I really like this one, and it's great around the holidays because it's plaid. So plaid and Christmas kind of go hand in hand in my opinion. And then I also took a little bit, this is also from scrapbook.com. This is a metallic rose gold pigment reinker. I have the pad, but for my purposes, I'm just gonna put a little tiny bead of it on my mat. And I usually make multiples of these at a time. So I'm just gonna brush some of the excess off and move it around. And I'm just doing this because I want to add a little bit of shimmer to this, but not a lot. So I don't know if you can see it, but those little drops are all shimmery now. And you can just keep applying on top until you have the effect that you're looking for, but I'm happy with that, so I'm going to set this aside and clean this up. So now that we have this ready to go, I also die cut this little Mary sentiment, and I kept the two little inside pieces for the R's. So this is the Block Outline Christmas die set from scrapbook.com. So I just used the Mary die. And then using the Wordfetti Christmas from scrapbook.com, I took the Christmas, which is in here somewhere, so the Christmas. So this, I don't know if you can really see it, but that one there. And in this Peppermint Scrub by Catherine Pooler, I just stamped and then cut out that little sentiment. So they go together. And then also from scrapbook.com, using the Snowflakes die set, I just die cut this snowflake. It's kind of like a medium one from the die set. And if you were making, you know, smaller tags and following this, you could use one of these smaller ones. That's why I love this die set so much, because they have kind of large ones, they have some medium ones, and they have some small ones, and they're all different, which is really cool. So I went ahead and die cut one of those. This is some, I want to say it's champagne glitter cardstock. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's champagne. I get my glitter cardstock from Michael's. I have not, as of yet, tried the scrapbook.com ones, but one day I will get around to trying those. So I just die cut one of those, and then using that same paper, the same glitter cardstock, I die cut one of the reinforce punches. So from We Are Memory Keepers, I just cut one of those. And then I'm going to go ahead and start putting this together. So to create a little bit of dimension with this, moving this out of the way, I used some double-sided foam adhesive. This is also from scrapbook.com, and I just cut some strips. Just like this. Whoops. Just to give the tag a little bit of dimension. So I'm just going to pull the backing off, and I love this double-sided adhesive. It works really, really well for applications such as this, but it's also really, really great when you are making shaker cards. I haven't really shown a whole lot of card making on my channel before. There hasn't seemed to have been a lot of interest for it, but we'll see how that goes. But I love making shaker cards with it because it makes it so much easier. So I'm just going to layer this on just like this. So now we have a little bit more dimension to that. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this die cut, and as crazy as it sounds, I'm not so great with holding these things. So I'm just going to use a pair of tweezers. These are EK Tools reverse tweezers, I think they're called. I've had them for like ever, like forever and ever. So I'm not sure if you can still find them, but I will see what I can find. And I'm just going to go ahead and lightly just lay a thin bead of glue down over my die cut. If I had been smart and was thinking ahead, I would have put some double-sided adhesive on the cardstock first and then die cut it, but I didn't think ahead. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay this down just like this. And I'm using one of the lines from the plaid embossing to kind of make sure that it is relatively even. I'm just going to press that down. And then I am going to use my tweezers again to pick up the inside part for the R's. And then I'm just going to lay them down. All right, so you can see this is coming together pretty easily. So this is adhesive foam strips. You can also get this from scrapbook.com. I'm just going to cut a small piece and use it on the back of the Christmas sentiment that I stamped. I'm going to remove the backing. And I'm just going to place that down underneath my Mary die cut. And then taking my snowflake die cut, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue just around the center of that. And then I'm going to lay that down right about here. And then I am going to take some red gems. These are just gems that I have in my stash that I got from Amazon forever ago. I will try and link those as well, or something that is the same. And I'm just going to put them kind of assorted along my card. So I'm going to use one to center on the snowflake die. I'm going to put one up here, and then I'm going to put a couple down here. So one in the center of my snowflake. One here, and one here, because that just helps kind of accent it a little bit more. The next part that I'm going to do, the last part that we're going to do, is we're going to work on this, on the hole, the punched hole for the actual tag. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm not going to punch it yet. I'm going to go ahead and grab that punched reinforcement piece, and I'm going to go ahead and lie that down where it needs to go. Make sure that's stuck. And then I'm going to use this We Are Memory Keepers hole punch on the 1/4 inch, and I am just going to punch that. And this way I can make sure I get that hole perfectly aligned. I tried doing it back in the day without putting this on first, and it was always off a little bit. So I much prefer this. I'm also going to take a strip of ribbon. This is from my stash. I think it's Stampin' Up, but I'm just going to feed it through the hole. And then I'm going to use, this is Baker's Twine in red and white, so perfect for this. And I'm just going to tie it in a knot at the very top of my tag. Tying it nice and tight. Just like that, and then I'm just going to tie it in a quick little bow. Then I'm just going to cut off any excess that I have. And there you have our first cute little tag. So as you can see, they come together pretty easily, and you could mass produce these if you wanted to. So that is our very first tag. So moving on to our second tag. I use the same tag base that I used for the last one, so that was from the Nested Tags set from scrapbook.com. And then I used a piece of pattern paper. This is from the Scrapbook Customs Christmas Pack. This, I think, was a freebie last year or the year before. Doesn't have a date on it, but I think it was last year or the year before. So I had, as you can see, I had some scraps. So I used those to create this little base. So this is cut to 3 7/8 by 4 1/2. And like the last tag, I've gone ahead and pre-prepped everything that we needed to create this tag. So first things first, I'm going to take my pattern paper and using this tool from Tim Holtz, it's like a paper distressor. I don't remember what it's called, but I'll look it up. I've had it for like ever. A lot of people just use scissors for this. I'm not that great at it and I tend to ruin my paper. So this works really well for me. But you can just distress the edge of your paper using this tool. So just like this. So now our pattern paper is distressed along the edges. Now you could ink these, you could tear them a little bit, you could round the corners. There's lots of different things that you can do. I'm just going to leave it plain, and I'm going to go ahead and take this same double-sided foam adhesive that we have here, and I'm going to put some on the back of this so that I can pop this up again. Peel those off. And then we're just going to lay this on just like we did with the last one. Just like that. So now we already have some good dimension going here. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to take the letters M, E, R, and Y. These are the negative part, or however you want to look at it, from this. So I die cut this. I not only got the outline like this, but I also got the inside letters. So it's kind of like a 2-for-1. I'm going to use my tweezers again. And this is a little bit harder because this is like a slick, glossy paper, which I hadn't really thought about when I first decided to make these. But I'm not sorry that I did, because I like how these came out. But it does make it a little bit harder. So I'm going to go ahead and place my first one down. You kind of have to just hold it in place a little bit at first. And then I'm going to take a piece of mint tape. I just want to make sure that I'm lining this up relatively straight, because y'all know I'm not always great about that. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this for all of my letters for the word Mary. All right, and once you have those glued into place, we are going to take our Christmas stamp. So this is the same stamp that I used on the last one. It's this Christmas stamp from the Wordfetti Christmas from scrapbook.com. And I stamped this one in rock and red just because I felt like this color was a little bit closer to the patterned paper. And I'm gonna take another strip of this foam strips that you can get from scrapbook.com, and I'm just gonna pop it up just underneath the Mary. So, and I'm just gonna kind of hang it off the side a little bit, just like this. So, all right, so the next thing that we are going to do is I am going to take 2 pieces of these little foliage pieces, and these are, this is this die from the Delicate Leaves from scrapbook.com. I think this is a newer release from them, but I love it for working with flowers because they layer well with flowers. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put a little bit of glue on these first few leaves here. And then I am just going to layer it down just like this. And if you get a little bit of glue like I just did, it's okay because the flower is gonna hide it. And then just going to do the same thing with the second piece. And I'm just going to lay these down just like this, pressing them down a little bit to make sure that they adhere, because again, this is very glossy paper. Some is, but most pattern paper is not this glossy, so it's not usually an issue. So I'm going to set that aside and let it dry for a little bit, and we're going to create our flower. So I'm sure if you've watched my channel at all, you have seen me use this die set a number of times. I use it all the time. This is the Cinch and Go Poinsettia from Spellbinders. I used the largest flower, but again, if you were making smaller tags, you could use some of the smaller ones. They all turn out really, really well, in my opinion. I love this die set, and I find that you can use it. I use it for everything. I don't just use it for Christmas. Even though it's a poinsettia, the flower itself turns out in a way that I don't feel screams Christmas. So I did the die cuts in the champagne glitter cardstock like I did for the previous tag. And you can't really see it on the glitter, but it is kind of embossed. So I'm just going to fold on that embossed line on all the petals. And I apologize for any noise that you hear in the background. Being in a new development, there is still construction going on everywhere. So if you hear background noise, that's probably what it is, and I apologize. So we're just going to do that same thing with this second flower. And once you have folded all the petals for both, we're just going to go ahead and glue these together. I'm going to use some hot glue just because I find it easier and faster. So I have some hot glue on there. I don't know if you can really tell. I'm just going to line up those holes and press them together. And then I am going to take this punch again, and I am going to use it to punch the hole in the middle. I just need it to be a little bit bigger than it is currently, because I'm going to layer some stamens in the center of it. So we're just going to feed them through the hole. Make sure they're all roughly even. I'm going to cut these fold them over, and then I'm going to put hot glue on the back here. And then I'm just going to use a scrap piece of cardstock, a small piece on the back to hold it all together. And then once I have that, I'm just going to cut off these excess little pieces. You don't necessarily have to do this because this is a big enough flower, but I want to get those pieces out of the way. And then I'm just going to kind of fluff it up a little bit because I kind of smushed it. All right, so I am going to attach this flower just like this. Before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and do my hole punch and the reinforced piece. So I already went ahead and pre-cut this. I did this in the red foil cardstock. So this is the same cardstock that I used here, this red foil from Michaels. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the back of it. And then I'm going to lay it where it needs to go. And then I am going to punch with the quarter punch again with this We Are Memory Keepers punch. Just like that. And then I'm going to layer on this ribbon and the baker's twine, just the exact same as I did on our first tag. So just like that. And then our last step is to go ahead and glue this down. I'm going to use some hot glue again just because I find it easier. So, and this is just going to go right just like that. And then you just need to let that set and you should be good to go. So there you have our cute little Christmas tags. Again, they don't take that much. They add a really nice personal touch to like personal gifts, especially if you're, you know, sending them to family or whatnot. I really enjoy making these. And again, you can use, like I used a lot of scraps to make these just because a lot of them are just little pieces. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. And as always, if you are interested in seeing more, don't forget to click on that subscribe button. Thanks everyone.